When a piece of gaming hardware fails to find an audience, two things usually happen. Projects in development get moved onto new hardware, or they are cancelled completely. This was the case for the Nintendo 64 disk drive, Nintendo's biggest commercial flop. We'll be going over many of these projects in upcoming Game Gallery episodes, including the Nintendo 64 disk drive itself. But in today's episode, we'll be discussing one game in particular. I'm your host for today, L8RG8R2U, and today's episode of the Game Gallery will be talking about Cabbage. Before we get started, it's important to mention that no gameplay footage or screenshots were ever publicly shown for the game. Because of this, we'll be having footage of Animal Crossing playing during the video. I think I may have written that wrong. Cabbage is a special type of dairy product that's available only in Japan, that's famous for curing hippopotamonstros cryptidaliophobia. Yeah, I'm just kidding. But you may be wondering, what kind of a name is Cabbage? And the answer is quite simple. Shigesato Itoi came up with it. There weren't really a whole lot of project names thrown around during development, but the one that was really popular was just something that Shigesato Itoi randomly blurted out during a meeting where he just randomly said the word Cabbage, and the name just stuck. To be fair, Cabbage is a very fun name. Now, as for the game itself, Cabbage was a pet breeding simulation game for the Nintendo 64 disk drive developed by Shigeru Miyamoto, Earthbound creator Shigesato Itoi, and Pokemon creator Tsunukazu Ishihara, and even Satoru Iwata was working on the project for a while. Players would care, feed, dress, and watch over creatures called Cabbage. Using the Nintendo 64 disk drive's internal clock, the game's world would continue running, even when the game was turned off. Players could transfer the Cabbage creatures onto their Game Boy cartridges to play with away from home, and then they would be able to transfer them back onto the Nintendo 64 disk drive version whenever they wanted to. Players could also use their Game Boys to take their Cabbages to other players' homes. This is very similar to how the Animal Crossing series works, where you can visit another player's town. Expansion packs were also planned for Cabbage. These would have added new toys and objects for Cabbage to play with, including swings, slides, ponds, and more. You could think of this as something along the lines of an expansion pack that was common during PC games. Shigeru Miyamoto has said that players could copy their Cabbage world onto a blank expansion pack to share with friends. But due to conflicting resources, I couldn't find whether or not these expansion packs would have been released on a Nintendo 64 disk drive disc, or if they would have been released on a Game Boy cartridge. Cabbage was planned to be playable at Space War 2000, but unfortunately it never made an appearance. So why is that? Why was this project cancelled? Well, one reason should be pretty obvious. The Nintendo 64 disk drive failed in the market, but another reason was due to Shigesato Itoi and Ishihara becoming too busy with other projects to work on Cabbage. Itoi was working on Earthbound 64, and Ishihara was overseeing projects at the Pokemon Company. The lack of progress on the title and the failure of the 64 disk drive led to Cabbage's cancellation. Despite the fact that Cabbage never saw the light of day, that doesn't mean its ideas went to waste. The real-time changes to the game's world would later appear in the Animal Crossing series, and caring for virtual pets would become the basis for Nintendogs. And that's all for today. If you'd like to watch more Gaming Gallery trivia video things, we'll have a playlist on screen somewhere along the video. And be sure to subscribe to Game for when we upload more of these Gaming Gallery videos, because watching these helps improve our self-esteem. Somehow. And for whatever reason you want to hear more of my dumb voice, we'll have a link to my Earthbound Let's Play on screen right now. That game was made by Shigesato Itoi, and thankfully didn't get cancelled. Like, seriously, that's the greatest game ever. If you haven't played Earthbound, then you haven't played any video game ever. That is the law of the universe. Thank you for watching this episode of the Gaming Gallery, and remember that in our hearts, we are gamers. The project's title, Cabbage, was said to be... I already read that.